For the first time since 2001, the Philadelphia Eagles got a win at the desert in Arizona. And for the first time since 2004, they're 5-0, a 20-17 win over the Arizona Cardinals. We'll recap it next right here on the Locked On Eagles postgame show.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Today's episode of LOE is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. I'm Louis DiBiase. He's Gino Camilleri. Our hearts are racing because it came down to the final play in the Eagles' 20-17 win over the Arizona Cardinals to get to 5-0. Gino, Kyler Murray slides on 3rd and 10 after driving down the length of the field, and he comes up just short. It's 4th and 1, forcing a premature field goal with still 22 seconds to go. A 43-yarder is a single doink off the right post. The Eagles get out of the desert alive. And thank God, man, because me and you, we said it before the game, it feels like every time they're in that damn stadium, we never feel confident, regardless of how much better they are than the Cardinals. And I'm just so glad to get a win in that building.
Wins do not come easy in the National Football League, and that was ever so evident today. And they don't come easy in the desert for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Arizona Cardinals. And it came down to an extremely long drive in the fourth quarter, and came down to a rookie kicker making a field goal for you and a rookie kicker missing a field goal for the other team. First off, all I have to say is somebody, please, I'm begging, put the Curb Your Enthusiasm intro music over Kyler Murray sliding short.
It was like when Kirk Cousins
3rd down.
Kneeled it against the Eagles in, I think it was 2014 or 2015, instead of spiking it in the first half to stop the clock, he kneels it. It's something about the Eagles with the opposing team, their clock management. I was like, that's what it brought me back to.
Say whatever you want about that game today. The Eagles didn't have their best coaching game. They didn't have their best execution.
Right, we'll get into it, yeah.
But when it came down to situational football, the Philadelphia Eagles were the better team. When they needed to grind out clock to make sure that offense that was driving on you over and over again in the second half only got one possession, they did exactly that, got it to under 2 minutes. Your rookie kicker is in a position to make an easy chip shot field goal, and the defense, man, they get bailed out big time.
Jonathan Gannon, you lucky SOB.
Oh,
I mean,
God, by a horrendous play from Kyler Murray. You have to know, I think all Eagles fans know about this sliding rule with how many mobile quarterbacks that we've had. It's where you start the slide when you are going feet first. It isn't when you slide head first like Michael Vick, who never knew how to slide with his feet first.
Right.
When you go with your feet first, this is the Eli Manning game. I think back to this. This is the first time I think I learned about this 10, 15 years ago. You have to be cognizant of that. Situationally, you weren't prepared in that situation to know what you had to do. Because if you're a quarterback and you know that the game is on the line, you are cognizant of where the chains are, and you pick up the first down
and you're the quarterback.
Any cost necessary.
Of anybody, you have to know in those situations everything that it's going to take. Kyler Murray and ultimate debauchery in that loss. The Cardinals are now 2-3. And, Gino, sometimes you need luck in this league to win games. You need things to go your way at the drop of a hat, and it happened for the Eagles, and they needed it because this defense was giving up. They were bleeding. It was a boat with holes on both sides. 5 drives the Cardinals had over 300 yards from scrimmage after being down early 14-0. They outscored the Eagles 17-3 and to tie the game up. And then, of course, the Eagles scored 20-17, and we'll talk about that impressive drive by the offense that you mentioned. But the defense yet again just let the Arizona Cardinals drive right back down the length of the football field. And that was concerning to see. You know, Gannon, as we said, he got bailed out today from that missed kick and the offense because he called off the dogs early. It was like the second quarter, they're up 14-0, and this guy's coaching like there's 3 minutes left and they're up by 3 scores. The soft zone coverage wasn't just that, though. The missed tackles, it felt like that Detroit game week 1 where it almost let the Cardinals back in and win it. Luckily, the Eagles just keep figuring out ways to prevent themselves from shooting themselves in the foot, but they almost did it today. And it was the defense.
We're just battle scarred by the 2018 season, which this game felt very reminiscent of. You think of that Panthers game, you think of the Titans game where Jim Schwartz, I tweeted this out, like, is Jim Schwartz back on the sidelines?
And the Bears game in the playoffs, the double doink, it was the same kind of finish where Trubisky drove down the length of the field in what felt like 1 minute. That's what happened today. They just gave them free yardage. It was like they were playing for overtime. That drove me nuts.
Was it all on the defense? Absolutely not. I thought they did good in the beginning.
Yes, they had a great
started to get grinded down there in the second quarter, and then they acted like they didn't have the weapons on the outside to cover man-to-man. Yeah,
they were playing
Hollywood
scared.
Brown is going to beat you. He is one of the most athletic guys in space. He's going to win one-on-ones. Darius Slay has never been known for covering these small, shifty receivers well. Avonte Maddox probably would have gotten that matchup today if he's in the game, but he still did a fantastic job early on, and then they went away from it. With that said, situationally, the defense is bad. Where the offense, situationally, they took care of what they had to do on that first drive. They go down the field. After holding Arizona, they get 7 points. They go up 14-0. Then the penalties started to come into play. They backed themselves up on a few drives. But when it mattered, they got it done. And the one unit that we can't forget about, that I knew this was going to come back to bite them, Lou, 4th and 1, right before halftime.
Yeah.
You have a chance to go on another 2-minute drive where you have scored on every 2-minute drive in the previous 4 games. Instead, your special teams unit isn't even awake to be aware of a fake punt. They go down there, fake the punt.
I could hear you screaming from Buffalo when you were in Colorado.
it was just unbelievable to not know the situation, because that's a huge swing, Lou. If you can go down and go up 2 scores before halftime and then get the ball back again, that's a 3-score swing. Instead, it's a 1-score game. You're lucky the defense bailed you out situationally right before halftime. But yet again, they shot themselves in the foot a ton of times. And unlike 2018, the 2022 version of this team, they got it done when it mattered. They were down multiple offensive linemen. Jalen Hurts, once again, put the game on his back.
Yeah,
my goodness.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, this was, and the stat line isn't overly impressive, although it looks pretty good. 26 of 36 on the day, 239 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions, 61 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. This was still an MVP-like performance. When you lose, you're already heading into the game without your left tackle. So your blind side is susceptible to pressure, right? With Jack Driscoll playing left tackle. Jordan Mailata is out for the game. Landon Dickerson goes down early. He misses multiple quarters. Then Jason Kelsey bangs up his ankle. He's off the field multiple times. So you have 3 backups on the left side of your offensive line. The defense is letting up crazy yardage every drive. As you mentioned, the special teams is not ready. And Jalen Hurts, just the poise and the decision-making was incredible. And I think the biggest play was that final drive where, shout out to the offensive line in the run game too. That was a vintage Eagles chewing up 7 minutes of a game to put the game on ice and retake command of the game. But there still came a play where they had to win because of their quarterback throwing the football in an obvious passing situation on 3rd and 11. Hurts had struggled against the blitz all day. He finally figures it out, gets the ball out quick, pressure all around him. He steps up and makes a throw, an obvious passing play in a must-have situation, and you won because of your quarterback in that moment. I think, Gino, there's been flashier plays. That was the most impressive play of Jalen Hurts' career so far, in my opinion, because of the magnitude of the moment.
I think the cherry on the top of this all, what part of the field was that throw completed in, Lou?
Yeah, it was in Cardinals territory.
But what part? Not the left, not the right.
Oh, the middle.
The dead middle of the field where Jalen Hurts has struggled in his first few seasons. It's giving me chills to talk about because, like you, I sat back and said, man, he didn't look to his left. He didn't look to his right. He knew the blitz was coming. Understood. I believe Dallas Goedert probably adjusted his route off of knowing that it's cover 2. They had 2 high safeties. The blitz was coming. Find space. In a Zach Ertz game, he did a very Zach Ertz-esque move. Gets to the middle of the field. and his quarterback stood and delivered in the biggest moment of the game. Things don't always go well, but Nick Sirianni says it best. This kid never wavers. You could be in his face screaming that he messed up, missed a read. He almost has an interception that really could have cost them big time, but he kept it even keel. And everything continued to work, and it worked out in the end because at the end of the day, this team is battle-tested. They have guys in place that have been in these late-game matchups. They have the leaders to keep them focused through 60 minutes of football. And above everything else, they now have a quarterback that you can lean on to truly win you football games.
Yeah. I think that was, again, the most impressive throw of his career. And
what about the one going to his left, though?
Well, that's the thing. There was just so many plays today
man.
Where he showed it represented his development from this year to last year. That play on 3rd and 11, he doesn't make last year. He probably bails the pocket, and he probably gets sacked. The play where he's on 3rd and 13, rolling to his left, resets, flips his hips, takes a hit, but hits DeVonta Smith on the money. Last year, he probably drops his eyes and he probably runs. The very next play, he rolls to his right and finds DeVonta Smith 20 yards down the field. I just thought his decision-making, too, was, I think they had to adjust, right? Because Arizona was bringing the pressure. You were missing offensive linemen. You had to get the ball out quick. And I thought Hurts did a great job today of just taking what the defense was giving you. Stay ahead of the chains in that kind of situation. He was just very aware of what the game was, what it was going to take to win this one. You know what I mean? He didn't force anything. And again, when he had to force something, he made the play. So, yeah, I think this was a great game from Jalen. And, of course, the rushing, he's probably going to break Cam Newton's rushing record, for most rushing touchdowns in a season, which was 14 in 2011. The kid's already at 6 right now, and we're only 5 games into the season.
And he's probably on pace to set the single season average per game record for the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe Randall, Donovan, and Michael Vick never averaged a season above 60 yards per game. He's pretty darn close to that.
This is the best team in history when it comes to mobile quarterbacks, and he's going to shatter that record.
Oh, 100%, and he does it out of necessity. When you look at quarterbacks, and you can go to the cliches and you say, oh, do you have a game manager or do you have a true gunslinger? There were elements of both of those styles in Jalen's game today. When he needed to make big-time throws, when he needed to escape the pocket, they call that beautiful quarterback power on that last drive. Put the ball in your quarterback's hands. Trust him. And above everything, Lou, he doesn't fumble. We had Carson Wentz for the longest time, who's averaging nearly a fumble per game in his career. This kid does not turn the ball over when he runs the football, and neither does Miles Sanders. And Kenny Gainwell looks pretty freaking good lately. That's huge for them. They needed to take care of the football. You needed that game management side to this matchup. But in the end, it came down to that playmaking ability. And Jalen Hurts on the ground, he does it multiple times when you need him, picking up first downs, scoring touchdowns, getting up under center, and just driving the pocket forward and making
QB sneaks always work, man. What'd they go, 7 of 7 today? Both touchdowns,
I believe so.
4th down conversions, 3rd and shorts.
We got to talk about that last throw to Quez, though. That's in his hands. That's on the numbers. It's just an unbelievable play by the defender, too. And maybe if he throws it to AJ, he brings that ball down. And at the end, man, it's like, I want this kid to have the ball as many times as possible.
The Eagles take it 20-17 over the Arizona Cardinals in the desert off a missed field goal by Arizona with time expiring to get the win. 5-0 on the season. This is the Locked On Eagles post-game show, and it's sponsored by Prize Picks Fantasy. This is how it works. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they're going to score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing with anybody, by the way. It's just you versus the projection. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you watch. You've got the NHL coming up, the NBA. The Phillies have moved on to the second round of the NL playoffs. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. They have safe and fast withdrawals, too. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks is going to give you $50. Don't forget, again, head over to prizepicks.com, use the promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. I'm Louis DiBiase. He's Gino Camilleri. This is the Locked On Eagles postgame show. The Eagles take it 20-17 over the Arizona Cardinals. It's their first win in the desert since 2001, which Gino, Dicker the kicker, the guy that stepped up big for the Eagles today, he was 1 year old at that point. He was born in 2000. He stepped in great for Jake Elliott, and that was a huge difference too today was their reserve kicker stepped up, Arizona's didn't.
Is Texas back? Well, Texas might have came to Philadelphia.
At least in the form of a kicker in Philadelphia, it is, yeah.
Horns up in Philly, man. What a big stage for Cameron Dicker. Comes in on a short week after Jake Elliott suffers that injury. Coming in for a Pro Bowl / all-pro caliber kicker is big shoes to fill. The Arizona Cardinals were in the same exact situation. The Eagles evaluated the better talent. They found a guy that got it done. He was good on kickoffs. He got it done in the field goal game. And he never crumbled under pressure. Man, I mean, even at the biggest of stages, we have seen guys miss extra points. Jake Elliott did it in a Super Bowl. 20-some-odd yard field goal is not easy when you're a rookie on the road against a team that has been having your number in that place, and they had your number in the second half. He got it done, but shout out to the Eagles doing a great job getting them down into first and goal situation. They don't score in that area, but they're close enough for him to be in chip shot territory. And then the other quarterback could have gotten off 2, maybe 3 more plays by picking up that first down,
Still
putting his kicker
in
a better situation. You got to take that hit and get the first down. It doesn't matter how small you are. It doesn't matter what the situation is. You are the quarterback. You are the leader. You pick up a first down. And how many times did the Eagles trust Jalen Hurts to do that today? I think it says a lot about the trust that everybody in that building has behind number one right now.
Jalen Hurts, and can you say Kyler Murray's faster than Jalen Hurts? Sure. Can you say that he has better arm talent? Sure. Would a lot of people this past offseason have taken Kyler to quarterback their team over Hurts? For sure. But a lot of the strengths that Hurts has had, Kyler really doesn't possess. And one of those was that calmness in those big moments and just the ability. It just felt like Kyler was rushing Gino, and he was just kind of, Kyler gets into that mode outside of structure where he gets that almost Russell Westbrook, Carson Wentz like tunnel vision. And that's kind of what happened in that moment. That's the thing with Jalen. He's so good outside of structure, but it's still in such a calm, smooth way, if that makes any sense. And so I think that was a huge difference. And again, this isn't the first time we saw this in Arizona with Hurts. The first time we saw at the NFL level Jalen step up in these kind of high-pressure, close battles, it was that first start on the road against Arizona. The New Orleans game was impressive the week before, but that Arizona game was the first time you're like, okay, things around you, they're not going great. We need you to be the reason we stay alive in this game. So this isn't even the first time, but this time they came out on the winning side, and a lot of it was because of the other things Hurts has added to his game since that one.
I think it would be an interesting exercise to sync up both of the clips side by side from the teams that he's played in his first couple years multiple times. You can add that Detroit game from last year to this year. You can add this Arizona game from his rookie year to this year and just see the true maturity, the evolution, his ability to grow and continue to get better in areas where many people had question marks. Lou and I did not have confidence in Jalen Hurts for a long time. He has made us eat a ton of crow. But the first conversation that I can vividly remember between you and I when we said, okay, maybe he does have it, was that Arizona game, his rookie season. There were things where you said you could put the game on his back. Nothing is going right for you. The season is in a downswing. Puts up a good performance against the New Orleans team that was very good, another good Arizona team, and you're seeing him step up to the plate against big-time competition in this conference right now, Lou. They beat the Minnesota Vikings, who were in first place. They beat the Jaguars, who were in first place up until today, and now you go and beat Arizona, who is tied in that division, and
they were a playoff team last year.
Yeah, and they're going to be one of the teams contending against you. This was one that you and I had circled way back when we did our roster projections, or not our roster projections, our schedule predictions.
Yeah.
This game, the Cowboys game next week, Green Bay towards the end of the year, and that Saints game would be the ultimate test for you. Well, now your schedule is going to get even harder, and you want to pick up those moral victories against teams that you are competing against. This will go a long way in the whole landscape of the league and the division, because Dallas is 4-1. The Giants
this was
are 4-1.
A big win. Doesn't it
You
feel
needed
crazy that
this.
you were 4-0 and you're like, oh man, we have to win this game because the Cowboys are about to win and get to 4-1. You play them next week. Dak Prescott's coming back soon. And the Giants, I thought, were the biggest frauds of anybody over 500, but then they go out to London this morning and beat a really good Green Bay Packers team that was 3-1. So yeah, you had to have this win in this division, which is crazy to say considering the track record of the East over the years.
NFC Beast. They might be back.
That's what it looks like right now outside of Washington.
And maybe this could have been a spot where you started to look ahead to next week a little bit, where you said, okay, we know what this big matchup is. That's what's going to come down to getting into a good playoff position, is winning the division. That's potentially one of the things. But now you can step back and say, we got through our most adversity-ridden game in the past few seasons. If you think about how things just continually were going wrong, and they've been in that situation. And the reason my heart was racing is because I've seen them go bad in that area. I've seen it too many times. Kyler gets the ball to come down the field, score a touchdown when they only got a field goal. Or the team comes right back into it after having a 14-0 lead, reminiscent of the Saints playoff game in 2018 as well. It just was one of those things that you had to wipe away from your culture, and winning in tough games, in big time moments.
They've done it in back-to-back weeks.
It's something that they're figuring out and continuing to do.
That's the thing. Last week they're down 14-0 with injuries and bad weather, and they pull it out. This week injuries are happening. The Cardinals are on a 17-3 run. You have all these things going wrong for you, and you find a way to win both of these games. That's how you make a deep playoff run, is when you can pull these kind of games out, because they're not always going to go as smooth as it did against Minnesota or Washington. And, we can even say the Detroit game. They found a way in 3 tough situations already this year to pull it out when the game didn't go perfectly for them. So that is huge how battle-tested this team looks early on in the season. I just wish for this game, it shouldn't have been that hard. And, again, going to the defense, I think they had a great plan starting out on Kyler Murray. They played a lot of cover 1, cover 3, man coverage with a quarterback spy. Kazir White was on Kyler. They were winning with a 4-man rush. And then Gannon sometimes can't help himself. It felt like he was coaching scared again, like he had Steven Nelson on the outside, as if they had DeAndre Hopkins out there. I mean, they're up 14-0, but there's still 2.5 quarters to go, and they're letting everything within 20 yards, it felt like, go. And that has to change. It's happened a couple times this year already. You have the personnel where you don't need to do that anymore. I just hate that they went away from what was working early, because Gannon actually had it figured out early, and then he adjusted for the worst. I just think they get too comfortable sometimes with these leads.
I believe the same sentiment can be said about the offense as well. A.J. Brown, 3 catches on the first drive. He doesn't touch the ball again the rest of the game.
Yeah, he finished with just the 3 for 32.
Shane Steichen can't let that happen. I don't think they utilized motion as much as they could have today on offense. I don't believe they put their players in the best position on defense.
Yeah,
they only blitzed Murray a few times.
It wasn't a great coaching day for sure.
If you're going to blitz, at least let the guys play man. If you're going to get beat, at least give the guys a couple seconds to try and hold the line with the corner and the receiver. Instead, you're playing zone. Kyler just identifies the open area pre-snap. He knows where the pressure is coming from. He adjusts, and they eat you alive with that all day. But you can't play soft against teams that are going to be better on offense.
And if you're going to play soft, you have to tackle, Gino. You got to bring guys to the ground. And this was worse than the Detroit game. I mean, the angles they were taking, it was hard to watch.
Even TJ Edwards missed a tackle.
Yeah, didn't have a great day today. Yeah. Could
have been better on both sides of the ball. All 3 phases absolutely could have been better. But this is one of those victories where you have to step back and say, phew, we got out of that round. You're saved by the bell. Nick Sirianni always says it's a boxing match. It's the next round. Well, man, you might have got a little woozy. You might have got a few head punches in there, maybe even a body shot that stumbled you for a little bit, but they got through it. Now you reset, fix the mistakes going into next week, because this is where the season starts, man. If you want to get ahead of things,
tougher.
You got off to a great start. You got out of the shadow of going 2-5 to start last season. You're going to go into next week. And then after that is a bye. Put it all out onto the field next week. Leave nothing in the tank and come away 6-0. You've set yourself up great by going 1-0 every single week, taking care of business week in and week out. And today was the first time I had a gut feeling that things were going to go bad, and they started to go bad for a little bit.
It's just our upbringing in Arizona, man. It's the 2008 NFC title that's it keeps creeping into your head.
Hey, if you're a team named the Cardinals and you're playing a team from Philadelphia anytime soon, I think I would reschedule that matchup.
That's right. The Phillies are moving on to the second round. They just took down St. Louis for sure. The Eagles get their win against the Cardinals 2 on Sunday, 20-17 to get to 5-0. We'll continue to recap that game coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles postgame show.
The only thing sweeter than going 5-0, being the last undefeated team in the National Football League, is chomping or nibbling, or however big of a size of bite you take, enjoying your Built Bar, your favorite, most delicious, nutritious protein bar on the market. Built Bar has been sponsoring us for years. They always send us their upgraded flavors. What do you got there, Lou? The cookies and cream.
Coconut. I got cookies and cream. We got raspberry over here. I've lost so much energy from that game. I'm going to eat like 5 of these.
I just finished my box of 18 that I got a couple weeks ago. I can't wait for the next one to come. You can get the original flavors. We always go back. We could talk about the cherry barcia flavor. You can talk about mint chocolate, the peanut butter, whatever you enjoy. You can also get their puffs flavored now, which are filled with 100% real marshmallow, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. They're delicious. They're nutritious. They'll keep you going during the day, during a game if you're too nervous to eat beforehand, which I always am, especially the game in the desert. But as soon as the game ended, I popped open a Built Bar. I got some energy, hopped on the mic. It kept me going. They only have 160 calories. They only have 4 grams of net carbs, 4 grams of sugar. Where can you get that? And where can you get something that's just as delicious as your favorite candy bar? Go to Built.com today and make sure you use the promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off of your order. Tell them Locked On Eagles sent you. And after the show, Lou, make sure you dig into your favorite flavor of Built Bar.
This is the Locked On Eagles post-game show. I'm Louis DiBiase. He's Gino Camilleri, and we thank you for making LOE your first listen each and every day. Also, make sure to check out NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL. Locked On's local experts, including Gino and I, give you the inside scoop on the 5 biggest games for the NFL weekend, including Sunday and Monday Night Football, plus betting advice from the field's leading experts, Bet Online. Follow NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Gino, taking a look at the box score here, you mentioned A.J. Brown, 3 catches for 32 yards. Start of the day, hot. All 32 yards, I think, came on that first drive. And then it tapered off for sure. But Jalen Hurts still surpasses 239 yards. And I thought the 2 guys that stole the show were the 2 core pieces of the passing game last year, Dallas Goedert and DeVonta Smith. Goedert clearly beat out Ertz today. Ertz finished 6 of 48. Goedert 8 for 95. DeVonta Smith 10 for 87. Those 2 in the toughness they both showed, because the Cardinals were hitting hard and there was not a lot of space on these short receptions. I thought Smith, especially some of the contact he absorbed on some of those screens. I mean, for skinny Batman, he looked like swole Batman today. I was really impressed with, again, there wasn't any big flashy plays, but the consistency of those 2 to keep moving the chains was super important.
It's interesting that you mentioned those guys, because we put all our LOE 3 bets on all 3 of those individuals. We go 5-1 today.
We needed that, man. We needed that.
Lou picked Dallas Goedert to have more receiving yards than Zach Ertz, and he did. I had DeVonta Smith having more receiving yards than Rondale Moore.
I had him on the over 2 at 3.5 receptions, so we nailed that.
Nailed it.
You had
Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown on the ground.
Got 2.
Nailed it.
Hurts over 48.5 rushing yards. Nailed it. And then
what do you say?
Only one
5 wins.
Yeah.
5,
the only thing we didn't get,
wins?
I had Brown over 73.5 receiving yards, which was a safe bet considering the last 4 weeks. But I'll take 5-1 considering the hole we were in coming into this game.
5-1, 5-0. We're doing pretty good here at the Locked On Eagles podcast.
I think too. Then on defense, Gino. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson leads the way with 10 tackles. He gets his first interception of the year.
Great day after last week, too.
Yeah, I think his tackling still needs to get better, but I think people were questioning his transition from playing mostly slot corner at New Orleans, and now he's more of a high, deep safety. But, him intercepting that pass in the first quarter, the way he came down and jumped in front of that route, Gardner-Johnson, I think, is transitioning just fine deep, and it shouldn't be a surprise. This isn't a corner moving from safety. This was a safety that was playing corner in New Orleans. But if you look at his time at Florida in college, he did a lot of this then. So I think the transition's been pretty smooth, and I thought he looked good today in coverage.
And without Avonte Maddox, there were multiple times when he's lined up on slot receivers as well. It's the versatility that he gives you to line him up all over the field. And folks, does it feel good to have somebody who can play safety?
I thought of you on that one.
We might not just have one of them, Lou. Marcus Epps, some unbelievably big time plays in big situations. That pass breakup, which would have converted a first down, ripping that ball out. He came down, filled gaps all day long today. And that's the thing where it's just frustrating with Jonathan Gannon, where you're saying the guys on the end aren't letting anything deep. The guys up front are doing a good job spilling the run outside and holding their gaps. Let's just let the corners do what they've been doing. And that was the most frustrating part to me. He let everybody else play their game. TJ Edwards was flying around, Kaiser White flying around.
Right.
But the corners, it's like we had Jalen Mills and Bradley Fletcher out there again, the way they were.
And again, Hollywood Brown's good. AJ Green, respect the guy for what he's done in the NFL. And Rondale Moore's a dangerous, inside weapon. But these weren't game breakers, and you had the corners to take them on. But I agree. I thought overall the other players did shine. CGJ, I think Jordan Davis looked great against the run today.
God,
made a couple huge plays.
Dude.
And then Hassan Riddick on the edge continues to stay hot. He gets the only sack of the day for the Eagles, and I thought he was dominating on the left side of the line. So there definitely were still some standouts from the defense. I don't think the personnel was to blame today, although the tackling was pretty brutal. I think it was more on Gannon just not putting his guys 100%. In the right situation to win.
100%. That was not on your personnel. You had the guys to match up. You matched up against Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen just fine. Why couldn't these guys go
and
out
Terry
there?
McLaurin, they've been matching up against
Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson. What was different about Amon-Ra St. Brown? What was different about today? Why did it feel as if you were playing?
I think it just gets
like you had a 30-point lead. You didn't. In situations where you had to get off the field and help out your offense, you were allowing the Cardinals to continually pick up first down after first down after first down. But thankfully for your offense, they picked up 7 first downs, I think, on that final drive in the
7-minute drive, Gino. Could you
started at 9:43 in the fourth quarter,
and they got down to this 2-minute warning.
That's patented. That goes back to 2019 when Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders killed the clock against Buffalo in a very similar drive. And they had done that multiple times, and they've done that a couple times this year. It wasn't as long. This was the second longest drive of Nick Sirianni's tenure in Philadelphia. But they have found a recipe for success. Time of possession, turn on the run game when you need to. And when you have playmakers on offense that can get open, give them the football.
I agree.
And that's what they need to do on defense. You have to take away those playmakers. You have to allow your quarterbacks, those guys, to fly around. And you just have to put them in a position to win. Was it perfect? No. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. This was an ugly win. This was a gritty win. This was an NFC East battle, in my opinion, taking place out in the desert. But the Philadelphia Eagles get it done in another battle-tested environment. 5-0, leading the division, going into Dallas week. Whew. Let's get fired
I can't
up,
wait, man.
This is
we got
great.
stock up, stock down tomorrow. We'll preview the Cowboys game Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Subscribe to Locked On Eagles on all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. Hit us up on Twitter at Locked On Birds, at DiBiase LOE, and at GC24_football. We'll see you tomorrow for another show. The Eagles take it 20-17. This has been the Locked On Eagles postgame show. Thank you for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Now make your second listen the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson give you the expert NFL analysis in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm Louis DiBiase. He's Gino Camilleri. We're wrapping up. As always, thank you for downloading. Thank you for watching and listening. And let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.